Dunlop Targa New Zealand 2003.
These cars were made to be sprint cars originally. They threw new gearboxes, new turbos at them every half a day back in '84 when they were rallying. So we've had to reinvent the wheel slightly and make this thing reliable.
I think it's got probably a little over 400 horsepower, maybe between 400, 450, so that's good. You know, that's what we need. We need more punch out of the corners, a lot of bottom end torque, and it'll really drive well.
Well, if we have a disaster like we've had before, that's it. Go home and start knitting.
I've heard your knitting's not real good.
That's dead right. That's why we're going to have a good go this year. We could have bought the best gearbox in the universe for what we spent on that, the thing that was in it. So now we've got a good one. It's bulletproof, and so we'll have a good run.
The engine's a standard engine, but it's got some trick components in it, of course, so it's not really standard. We're running ceramic apex seals, which come out of NASA, and that give us a lot more torque and a lot more horsepower and more instant power.
No, well, Peter Perfect didn't come this year. Rumours had it that he was a bit scared. You know, 9 times Bathurst winner and all that, but apparently he pulled the pin on us and said, no, Mustang's going too fast this year, we'll give it a miss.
In this part of the world, names like Peter Brock, Steve Millen and Robbie Francevic are synonymous with motor racing. These days, hardly an eyelid is blinked when these heroes of the past line up alongside relative unknowns like Anton Tallett, Rick Cooper and Peter Johnson for New Zealand's premier motor racing event. So a newcomer, especially a novice competitor from the other side of the globe out here to experience Dunlop Targa New Zealand for the first time, would probably go unnoticed. That is, of course, unless you're the most famous voice in motor racing history. Murray Walker.
It's all slowly coming back to me. I mean, the Toyota Camry that I'm sitting in is an old friend, because I sat next to Colin Bond for 6 days, and I've just remembered how to work the Terror Trip here, and your whole life revolves around this thing. I put the helmet on. The problem always is getting your spectacles on if you wear glasses, because you have to push them in. But we're quietly confident.
Walker, in only his second outing of this type of road racing, the first in Australia's sister event, Targa Tasmania, is sitting alongside Chris Amon, the Formula One legend, behind the wheel himself for the first time in more than a quarter of a century. It'll also be his first time in a rally.
The fact that we've only got one special stage prior to the track is good to give me a feel for how it's all done. Today, obviously, is a pretty easy day, yeah, there's a few butterflies appearing.
Until last night, I'd never met Chris. I used to watch him racing when he was with Ferrari and the other teams he drove for, but I never actually got close to him because I was a paying punter in those days. So it's a real pleasure to be with a legend like him, and I just hope that we pull it off. I know we're going to get on well together because we seem to be like-minded people, so there's going to be a good atmosphere in the car, and that's half the battle.
Walker and Amon are competing in the production class, one of a handful of categories covering historic, classic, contemporary and modern vehicles. The entire field, numbering more than 200, covers just about anything seen on the road in the last half-century. Here's an opportunity to enjoy the thrills and spills of tarmac racing on roads across the North Island. There'll also be a chance to test out those driving skills on 3 circuit tracks, Pukekohe, Taupo and Manfield. But first, there's the prologue, an 8-kilometre stretch of country road at Papakura, just outside Auckland, designed to sort out the seeding or starting order. For former New Zealand Superbike champ Tony Rees, being on 4 wheels is a new experience.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to have been given a drive in the Monaro here, and yeah, it should be a bit of fun. It's a real big experience for me, and yeah, it's a learning game. You know, the whole thing is reading lots, and I'm sharing the drive with Craig here, so I've got a lot to learn today. Yeah, I also don't know the road. You know, you go to a racetrack on a bike and you know the racetrack, and you've done lots of practice on it, and so we're going into roads that we've never seen before and don't know what's around the corner. So yeah, it's learning to the co-pilot and learning the whole thing. Yeah, it should be fun.
And if you want to know what it's like in the driver's seat, check out Chris Amon in the Toyota Camry with the excitable Murray Walker calling the shots.
Now we're coming up to this left hand, and there's a caution, there's water on the outside of the corner. I'm expecting to see the 2 warning arrows at 4.08. There's the first of them. the green background, the exclamation mark, now the yellow background, and this is the one we watch for water on the outside of the left-hand corner. There it goes, I can see the water down there. Feed in the power, it's quite a long climb up here. We'd ideally probably like a gear lower than the one we're in now, but it's a 5-speed standard gearbox. The whole car is completely standard, except that it has a roll bar and competition brake pads in it, which make a difference to the brakes, which are already pretty darn good.
The times gained in this stage and a Pukekohe racetrack will be used to seed the cars for the start proper tomorrow morning. It's a chance to dial in your head and sort through those last-minute handling problems.
Very excited as he comes off the circuit.
Fortunately for Colin Denise and the MG Midget, these times won't count.
Take a breath.
Can't. Too much smoke.
Unfortunately for Will Sellers, he won't see Pukekohe racetrack, committing the cardinal sin, going too quick in the prologue and losing control of the once immaculate GT3 Porsche. And with it, nearly the chance of competing in his third Targa. And the main event wasn't even underway.
We were devastated. Besides feeling a complete idiot and just pushing too hard, we just thought our event was completely over when we stepped out and looked at the car. It had snapped suspension all down the left-hand side. But it's all together. Now we've got to behave ourselves and get to Wellington.
Weather influences all motor racing, and Dunlop Targa is no exception. The green pastures in the Waikato are there thanks to some hefty rainfall of late. And it's not letting up as teams line up for the start of the first full day of racing. Slowest away first is the order of the day. Ray and Jeff Sanders in the 1961 GenCom Technology Sunbeam Rapier, not the slowest, they're 7th. Which means there's 6 cars slower than them today. And that also means there's only another 190 odd cars behind them that are all quicker. At 30-second intervals, that's a hell of an incentive to keep the foot to the floor. Wellington is where we're bound, 5 days and 2,000 kilometres away, and nearly 650 of those are competitive, over 49 closed special stages. It's been an early start this morning, so after just one special stage, teams stop at tiny Ruawaru School for breakfast. This is a unique side to Dunlop Targa. A little graft and corruption for local schools and charities always helps ease the inconvenience of having their roads closed. A small price to pay, really. And if you thought the weather might dampen the kids' enthusiasm, think again. These kids are out to make a buck. No gold coin, no entry. By the way, no gold coin, no exit either. Gotcha. If Targa in the wet is bad, then imagine Targa in an open-top tourer in the wet.
Flippers and snorkel and mask is what we need.
Yeah, it's this is the worst part, is just getting the brolly up and down, and you get the, you know, like the sticker's already disappeared and the book gets wet and you get a bit soggy, but it all comes with the territory. All the joys of ownership of a Fraser. Yeah, it is. This is fun. We are having fun.
Special stage 2 and 3 loop around Lake Whangape before heading south to Taupuri. The rain has certainly taken the shine off the opening stages this morning for more than 1 or 2.
Get my phone out too. We're going a bit fast and trying to keep up with the big boys of the little car, trying to prove something, and bit quick coming around the corner there. We put all our pedal bias to the front wheels while it was wet instead of to the back, and instead of sliding around here we just went straight ahead and caught a bit of both posts. That was our day.
But some of the big boys have been having troubles of their own.
We couldn't stop, and we had to take this route down here. We had no option, nowhere to go. It's a bit of a bad situation for us, but never mind. It's racing.
Trying too hard. Stage 3, second stage, we had the inside of the screen was badly fogged, and trying to make up time. And there's a ridge there. We dropped right off the road on the inside of the corner, and as we come out, the ridge held the front wheel in, and the back stepped out, and a bit slow on the opposite lock. Tipped it over a couple of times. Well missed.
Sadly, the race is over early this year for the man who delights in entertaining with his Mark III on opposite lock wherever possible. And there's a wheel full of opposite lock being engaged in Special Stage 4 on the left-hander into Lake Road with varying degrees of success. Up front where the action is, reigning champion Anton Talent is once again making his presence felt, posting quick times on every stage. In the process, using all the road and some. But he's not having everything his own way. Last year's runner-up, Australian Tony Quinn in the Porsche Turbo 4-wheel drive, is hot on his heels and keen to reverse the result from last year after his recent win in the East Coast Classic Rally in New South Wales. On every stage, the powerful Porsche has little effort dealing with the slower cars that might be on the road ahead. He calls himself a Kiwi, lives in America, and is here driving a quick Australian car, the Team Torque Falcon XR6. With the turbo under the bonnet and one of New Zealand's best drivers, Racing Ray Williams pointing him in the right direction, Steve Millen is eager to make more impact on the leaderboard this year.
Tight, 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 tight. Tight. Beautiful. Right. Lovely. Yep. Right. Good. Beautiful.
Well, I was frankly surprised when I was told that Ray was going to be the co-driver, because normally drivers aren't good co-drivers. I know that I wouldn't like to sit beside anybody. I don't care who it is. So I think he's kind of brave to be sitting beside a guy, that wants to try and go hard and try and perhaps win the event. It's a new car, of course. It's a 2003 BA Turbo Falcon, 6-cylinder motor, but it really is a good handling car. Brakes very, very well, and so it's run Targa Tasmania this year. Did very well, finished 10th overall. So it's got quite a bit of development in the car. And it's a good, strong car. It's bigger than what you'd normally like to have for a rally car, but good power, good brakes, good handling. That's all you need.
Is it a front runner?
I think it could be in the top 10, we know that for sure, maybe the top 6. Can it be in the top 3? I'll tell you on Friday.
Australian husband and wife team Rhonda and Greg Burrows are 10-year veterans of tarmac racing events, having competed in Classic Adelaide before switching to the longer special stage distances on offer in Dunlop Targa. Up to special stage 7 on their second target, their record was unblemished, but all that was about to change.
Okay.
I'm perfect.
And we had a good start to the morning, but a pretty big driver error in special stage 7. And there was a little tiny crest with a dip after it, followed by about a 7 right, and moss on the road. A shower had just come through, went over the crest and got very slightly light, and basically went straight ahead. And then there was a very big fall. Whether we go rallying again in the near future, I haven't decided yet.
He wants to go motorhoming.
That was a pretty big fright.
There's some serious horsepower in this event in almost every category. For some, the lure of the lead is just too much to resist. The Cure Kids entry, a 2003 Mini in the hands of airline pilot Michael Fitzpatrick, has been souped up this year after its first outing in 2002. Suddenly, the little Mini is very much the New Zealand job, throwing down the gauntlet and looking like a real contender for an outright win. Not bad for one so small, but the specially prepared race car is doing the business for the officially adopted Research Foundation entry, Cure Kids. It's certainly attracting plenty of attention for their cause and for the Mini, no doubt. With some consistent driving, Fitzpatrick will finish the day in 7th outright. Hard-charging Joe McAndrew, keen to get home to Wellington, wastes no time disposing of Peter Johnson's genuine vehicles import Peugeot 205. Still obviously not as reliable as PJ would like. Well off the pace with, dare I say it, gearbox problems? There's a classic battle looming between old adversaries, Mark Parsons in the TR7 and Nelson Marshall in the Ford Capri. Add to that a competitive Ashton Woods in the RS 1800. And Robbie Francevic's big Pontiac GTO is right up there on the pace. Looks like his gearbox problems are okay so far. As the day comes to a close, Mark Piddock's in the paddock for the second time.
Just a drive error, just too fast into the corner and blocked the wheels up, and this is what happens. The off Thunderbird's pretty strong. I think we'll better get it back on the road again. And, yeah, but that's the way it goes, I guess.
Still, it'll take more than a romp in the Tokoroa paddocks to kill the old Thunderbird. For now, there's time to watch the rally race away to the overnight stop. The final of a dozen special stages ends today at the hydro dam at Atiamuri, just outside Taupo. In the end, an Australian leads Dunlop Targa 2003. Tony Quinn's Porsche Turbo the quickest today. Defending champ Anton Talent is just 22 seconds behind, but 30 seconds in front of Joe McAndrew in the Mazda RX-7. The GT3 of Will Sellers, who recovered from his misadventure in the prologue, is slipped in behind Michael Delmont in the 75-2002. Steve Millen and Ray Williams hold on to 6th in the Team Talk Falcon XR6, with Michael Fitzpatrick's Mini leading Alan Scott by 13 seconds. Rick Cooper and Nelson Marshall round out the top 10.
This principally, I guess, is a fun event, and we're certainly having a lot of fun. It's very foreign to me in that I've never done any rallying before, but no, I'm really enjoying it.
Well, yesterday we had so much rain. I mean, it dried out a bit in the afternoon, and I was expecting it today, but look at it, it's glorious. Blue skies, sunshine, Taupo, the lake, it's absolutely fantastic.
Yes, Murray, it is fantastic, but don't count on the weather. This is Dunlop Targa after all.
We have living legends, Murray Walker and Chris Amon. Have a great day, chaps.
Wednesday morning, Taupo Domain, a car salesman's dream. Millions of dollars worth of motor racing history all lined up and ready to roar on day 2. Taupo is Rick Cooper's hometown. He's a car salesman and currently in the top 10, so life doesn't get much better.
Oh, it feels great, mate. I mean, Taupo is a sports-orientated town. I mean, everything from Ironman competitions, it's what makes Taupo thrive, and as one person in the community, I'm proud of everything that comes to the town, and the town's thriving. That's what we're here for.
Now, at this stage each year, it's too late to speak with Robbie Francevic because he's usually in a garage somewhere under the Tally's Pontiac or screaming at someone else under the Pontiac who's fixing the gearbox. But not this year.
Well, we're out because we've done more this year than we did in the whole event last year. So hopefully we found our problem with the transmission, and so we can get into it. It's a beast, I can assure you, but we have fun, and you know, I'd love to be able to put on a show for the crowd and hang the tail, but this old girl, if she gets loose, you can't bring it back.
Our Australian race leader, on the other hand, is dealing to Dunlop Targa, relishing the wet conditions. The Scotsman, with Australian co-driver Keith Wen, has the four-wheel drive on top and is singing the praises of the Porsche.
Yeah, this is a Targa car, which is it's a twin-turbo four-wheel drive Porsche, top-of-the-range Porsche, and it's such a shame. I mean, to make it a true Targa car, you would take another 70 kilos out of it and ruin it, but we prefer to have the air conditioning and the CD player and stuff like that, and it just, you know, it can be turned back to a road car, basically.
So what are you listening to?
We don't listen to each other. We serenade each other. We're nightingales on the road.
So you haven't got any CDs in there?
I sing some Scottish songs that he doesn't understand, and he sings some billabong Australian things that I don't understand.
One thing they can understand, though, is Targa racing, and today it all happens south of Lake Taupo, around the gumboot capital of the North Island. 4 special stages centred around Taihape, with plenty of variation in road surface. According to the route book, hilly, rugged sheep country, fast, open, smooth flowing roads with some big drops. Plenty of cautions. Take due diligence, otherwise you won't make it into lunch for the gumboot throwing competition. Tim O'Connor and Mike Page in their BMW 3-litre coupe obviously don't have too much interest in gumboot throwing.
We came around a corner too fast. Yep. I just crossed up and we lost it. Pretty wet road, into the grass, and Into the ditch.
Gary Morgan and Andrew Fox aren't so lucky. Their Targa turned on its head with their Subaru Legacy RS.
We're coming up that straight, full boost, probably 140, 150k. Put it into a bit of a backslide to come round the corner because we knew that's the way it looked. And just hit some mud or cow dung or something and just kept on understeering across the road and hit the clay bank on the other side in the ditch and rolled over about 3 or 4 times. And this is where we are.
So, you got a backup car or?
Nah, we'll get it on its wheels and we'll see what state it's in. If we can get it going for tomorrow, we'll get it going for tomorrow. But we think engine-wise and everything we were okay, so just a matter of how badly it's damaged panel-wise.
Gary, take a look over your shoulder. Lunch at Taihape, the gumboot capital of New Zealand. Now, why is Taihape the gumboot capital? Because it has a huge corrugated iron gumboot right in the middle of town. And it just is, okay?
Excuse me. Yeah. Where are you going? Sorry? Where are you going? We're going to Wellington, mate. All the way to Wellington.
No, we're not. We're throwing gumboots, Sam.
That's right. Yeah, but we're going to Wellington. This is just a side. This is a side issue here. You reckon you can do it?
Well, we certainly hope so. We spent all day yesterday putting a new gearbox in, so we better spend the rest of the time driving.
I was talking about the
gumboots, Sam.
Do I reckon I can do the gumboots? Well, hopefully I don't throw it over the fence like most people seem to, but I'll give it a good go anyway.
Enough talking about it. Let's get on with the competition. The road to Palmerston North this afternoon heads south, then east to Pemberton and skirts down the Ruahine Range. As expected, rain is beginning to influence this race as the front runners line up for Special Stage 18.
Yeah, well, you definitely do a lot of sliding, I know that, so I like the sliding bit, that's quite cool.
This car's very good on the wet, and I quite like the wet, so these Dunlop tyres are so good, the new ones are much better than the old ones.
Roads, first day, very wet, very slippery, but you got to press on, and I'd have to compliment Dunlop on the new tyre that they put out there. Grip in the wet is incredible.
Believe it or not, those comments were unsolicited, and there's no truth to the rumour Delmont and Marshall have been enlisted as consultants by South Pacific Tyres. We'll have to track down Alistair Corbett from Dunlop to find out what they're up to with this new rubber.
And we've got a hell of a duel going with Steve Millen at the moment, and I'm not too sure whether they could have been quicker than us through those stages.
Sellers might be in a duel with Millen, but it's Anton Tallett charging back through the field after gearbox problems yesterday, who's all over the back of the GT3.
Don't worry about that, you just carry on. Doesn't matter. He's probably got ground to make up.
The warning is timely for Sellers. A close call in Special Stage 19 is yet another reminder of just how quickly 0 to 0 can happen. Lucky for Will, his handbrake, that's wife Ainsley, in the co-driver's seat is keeping him in check. Despite the rain, everyone seems to be flying, including the old Mark II Jag, Fly Emirates, under the capable control of Emirate pilot Blair Brownlee, based in Dubai and home especially for the Targa.
Give it time.
Now, piloting a Jag through Targa backroads is probably akin to flying a jumbo in a pylon race, but Captain Brownlee has the English classic flying, doing his sponsor proud. Well, most of the time anyway. Seems this corner is not to be underestimated. John Hudson caught with a fair bit of understeer. Next in, the Big Red Monaro. But before you blame Tony Rees for belting the bank, he wants it known he was in the co-driver's seat. Too bad, Tony. It was your job to warn Craig to slow down. Now keep in mind who owns and drove the Monaro last year. Maurice Shapley and Glenn Cotterill. That's them in the BMW. Seems the cars must have been prepared in the same workshop. Same understeering problem.
Did you get that?
Yeah, we sure did.
I think I was offline. I was way too wide. Should have tucked in, and the road's slipperier than I thought it was. The road in the last stage was really slippery, but these big showers that are coming through, you can get a dry piece of road and then you can get a really wet bit of road. Unfortunately, this was wetter than I thought. I was offline and I just understeered and braked out through the fence. It wouldn't come back, and that's the result. Not very good.
One of the great features of this event is the Nava Tour, a more relaxed way to take part in Targa.
Three types of people go on the Nava Tour. The first type are people that want to get involved with rallying. This is a good lead-in. They don't need a service crew or roll cage in their car. So this is a toe in the water. The second type of person, they love their cars. They come back year after year. They love the socialising. They like being part of the biggest motorsport event in New Zealand. It's great fun. And the third type, these are people that are entrants in the main Targa event. Their cars crashed or broken down, and they've joined the Nava Tour to go to the end of the rally, to the prize giving. Great tenacity.
Charles and Mary Clark and their 3.5 litre V8 MG fall into the first category.
Well, last year we saw it, and we got such a buzz watching it. And we've also got this beautiful MG with a V8 Rover in it, and we thought, well, why not? And we thought we'd give it a go and drive on closed roads and really have some fun with the car.
And that's really what it's all about. In Manfield last thing today, everyone's on the track, and that includes the Nava Tour participants, Charles and Mary. But just how much convincing did it take to get Mary involved?
There was a bit of coaxing, and I was wondering whether I was going to enjoy a whole week of cars. But so far, I am.
Imagine the pressure on your relationship being cooped up together all week. Any problems?
The odd argument, but we're finding mostly that he's the one who's fussing and I'm usually right.
It's not that competitive, and I guess the key thing is all the people here are here with a like mind to have fun and enjoy their cars. All the cars are at a very high standard, and the driving skills are very, very, very high standard as well. So I think that really makes it.
Dunlop Targa is about extremes. There's no better illustration than the difference in budgets some of these teams have. Take the youngest driver in the field, 16-year-old Chris Trundle from New Plymouth. He's on his third engine in as many days and fighting just to start each morning.
Again, the cylinder wheel cracked, which was no good, so the boys had a real long night, up all night, and managed to source another motor which scabbed off a mate for $50, which someone didn't do the bottom end up properly, so it put a rod through the block, which is no good. Just another long night for the boys, up all night, and they managed to get it together. New motor, so it goes.
How much was the new one?
$600. So it looks like I'm going to be working for a few more hours.
I think he paid too much for the second engine. But look, I grew up with Escorts. They were my first car that I used to puddle about with. Fantastic car. But you just got to grow older and wiser, and you know, and work hard and make some money so that you can buy things that are more reliable and better.
Tony Quinn's biggest worry so far this event has been getting the air conditioning temperature at the right level in the $300,000 Porsche. But he understands what makes an event like Dunlop Targa tick, and the need for competition at every level.
There's only going to be one winner. The fastest driver and the fastest car, I guess. But everybody else has got their own battles going on. I mean, if you've got an Escort and the guy next to you's got an Escort and his is 1600 and yours is bored out to 1700, and you know, all those things. So there's all these little contests going on within the event, and that's what makes it so good, and that's what brings out the personalities in people and the psychological warfare that goes on at every level.
third day of Targa begins with 2 stages reversed from yesterday. Not that there's any advantage, as every corner, hump and bump on the road is different in the opposite direction. Running an event as large as Targa is no mean feat and takes the work of hundreds of officials carrying out dozens of jobs, from posting notices about road closures, taping up driveways on special stages, to ensuring the safety of crowds that come to watch. And the crowds come in all sizes and ages. Today the kids from Fordell Preschool are out here ready and waiting.
What are we waiting for? Cars.
Yeah. Where are they coming from?
Down there.
And they didn't have long to wait. The Team Kiwi 00 car first through, leading the rest of the field.
Okay, do you want to get off the man? Where you going?
Well, we're clearing the stage for all the competitors to follow us, so we make sure the road is safe to travel at speed. So we're pressing on a little bit ourselves, not quite as fast as the competitors themselves. This is really a good time to actually do a bit of PR work and get involved with the communities and let them know what's happening, and spending a bit of time with children here now.
Young Chris Trundle is taking no prisoners in his escort, and after countless mechanical problems, he's catching many of the slower cars. Nothing like having Dad around as a calming influence.
Oh, I got stuck behind the Mini for about 3 or 4 minutes. Wasn't letting me pass, but apart from that, it was good. On the speed limiter a bit closer to the end, but yeah, it was a good stage.
Right behind the Trundles is Terry Rouse in the Triumph Lynx, minus his accelerator cable.
Well, we're lucky we had some tape on the car.
Can we have a quick look at that?
Yeah.
As you'd expect with any kid car, there's always a roll of duct tape handy.
Thanks, guys. Have a nice day. There you go.
The Cure Kids entry, still in 7th after the second day, has dispelled any rumour about timing errors. The Mini living up to its movie reputation. But a rogue oil line lets go in Special Stage 25, spraying oil all over the engine bay and the road.
Just take it easy.
Oil pressure's gone. Oil pressure's gone.
Yeah, that's. Do we have to stop?
Yeah.
Then pull over here.
The Mini is temporarily sidelined for repairs.
Smells like an oil line too.
We're doing so well, and a silly little oil lane lets go. Car was undrivable, and of course you don't know why, but you're spraying oil not only onto the competitors behind you, but also onto your own tyres. So we had a couple of moments, and I'm sorry to say probably some of the competitors behind us had a few moments, but and that put us out for the rest of the day.
In the middle of nowhere, in fact Special Stage 26 to be precise, is a little place called Okirai. The local farming community have taken the morning off and equipped themselves for lunch.
Good view, eh?
Anton Talent has been pushing his RX-7 to the limit. The defending champion dicing for the lead with the turbo Porsche of Australian Tony Quinn. The Kiwi leads the Australian by the narrowest of margins, just 5 seconds. But Quinn is not about to let the RX get the better of him.
It's oil in there. There's oil there everywhere. That's slippery.
Even if it means driving through some of Fitzpatrick's oil.
Car off okay.
But Talent's chances of a win are all but blown out the window. A puncture in the final stage before lunch.
The last stage, 28k stage, long stage, 2k's from the end, well 5k's from the end. Notice we had a flat tyre. Come up to a high-speed corner, probably doing 220 kilometres an hour, had to brake very heavily for it. Absolutely destroyed the tyre. It's probably cost us quite a bit of time in that stage changing the spare.
Anton Talent isn't the last to leave lunch at Westpac Stadium in Wanganui. That honour goes to James Christopher and Trevor Ward, rebuilding their 1973 Honda Civic once again.
3 late nights of doing this sort of thing. I think it is part of it, working on the car while you're actually keeping the thing going. I'd like to say it would be boring to not have to do it, but We like the idea. We saw Chris Amon and Murray Walker who turn up and get spirited away to a nice warm hotel. And that'll be next year. But I think part of it is getting in and getting dirty.
Well, I'm not getting my hands dirty, Chris. Try our success. Cheers.
Cheers.
That's the two Pauls from Australia in the Ford Piranha nearing the end of SS28. Believe it or not, this car won the London-Sydney Marathon in 2000 in the hands of Swedish rally champ Stig Blomqvist. Quick, first gear, Paul. Oh, what about second? Oh, what the heck, stick her in reverse. It's not far to go. But in typical fashion, the best is yet to come. A feature of Dunlop Targa is the hospitality tent set up in strategic positions for sponsors and the crowd. It's also a chance for the Navatur entrants to watch the main competition with some colourful commentary to boot.
$1.50, they're worth.
In 2002, there were plenty of corners to choose from. Much of the Targa route was new and caught more than one or two drivers dozing. In 2003, they're more the wiser, but not far from Martin. This little beauty is still thought to be a good spectator spot, hence the crowd. Even with a caution in the route book, very few make it cleanly through the corner. For the rest, there's as many ways to attack this corner as there are cars attempting it. Brett Porter in a quiet, no-nonsense BMW 325i, out here especially for Dunlop Targa, had been working out ways to make his Cook Island car stand out from the other 200 and get some much-needed exposure. We're not sure whether this was part of the original plan, but parking the Cook Islands billboard on the corner certainly attracted its fair share of attention.
He warned me 3 times and I thought, well, okay. I've done this before and I hadn't done it that sharp. I wasn't expecting that. We'll be back in though. It's not too much damage.
But it's Trevor Barlow with his sister Pamela who really attracts everyone's attention. You can only imagine what that must have felt like. Take a look.
Yep, fine. Oh.
When we realised we were in strife, I didn't want to hit the beamer, and we could see that there was a field beyond the corner, and I thought I would just go through the fence, land on the field to get us out later, and we've buggered the stage. And then all of a sudden, whammo into the drain into the bank. I don't know what speed, but yeah, it hurt.
Despite the crash, chassis and shell are straight, and with some fender repairs, the car is made ready for the final day. But the dip in the stream has hydraulic the engine and bent valves, ensuring Trevor's chances of finishing really have ended up in the creek. Back at Manfield, it's on for young and old again at the racetrack, and surprise, surprise, it's raining. There won't be any lap records here today. But the times do count at Manfield, and the top 10 results look like this. Tony Quinn is back on top and well clear of second place thanks to Anton Tallard's puncture. Wellington's Joe McAndrew is a further minute back, but just over 30 seconds in front of Will Sellis in the GT3. Mike Delmont in his 2002 is staying in touch with the leaders and the 5 fastest outright. Boost problems in the turbo have dropped Steve Millen back and allowed Alan Scott through, with Ashton Wood taking over the classic mantle from Mark Parsons and Mel Clark. Shane Merland in the Integra R rounds out the top 10. For the second day in a row, the start is in the centre of Palmerston North. Historic racing within Targa has its own set of problems. Older cars with plenty of bits to break. Class leader Grant Rivers in the 65 Mustang has had his fair share and is amazed he's the quickest of the historics.
Lady Luck was on our side. We broke a rocker on the touring to the first stage, so we did 2 stages on 7 cylinders. Then after that we just cruised into service, the clutch broke. Right there, not on the stage, we managed to fix that with the help of the other Wanganui team. They've been really good. The Cole Baker Special from Wanganui, and we patched it up to get to Wanganui, our hometown, and of course my shop's there, so we got some bits, fixed it properly and smoked on from there.
Last night, Nelson Marshall slipped off the Manfield track and out of the top 10, giving his competition a break.
It was pouring with rain and all sorts of other excuses, and the back wheel slid over the edge and hit the grass, and then it spun around, and it took 1:10 to get back on the road, which is very hard to make up on the road, so it's very easy to lose, so that's what we've done.
Ashton Wood's driving a brilliant rally, as Nelson was, although I believe he had a bit of an oopsie at the track last night, and that's given us a bit of a break, but we're hoping for dry roads today, and if it is, watch out Ashton, here we come.
Now, we haven't seen much of Robbie Francevic and his classic Pontiac for a couple of days, and yes, you guessed it.
Don't talk to me about these gearboxes. I can't eat. I don't eat anymore, mate, because I'm so full of these wrecked gearboxes.
Oh, yeah? Yeah.
Now we've just got the old box, and went all through yesterday, because it was wet probably, and then by the end of today I might start pressing on a bit today, and then we'll see how it goes, and then if it's looking sick tonight, I'll ease off tomorrow.
At the front of the pack, there's no easing up. The pressure's on for Anton Tallett to peg back the overall lead he surrendered to Tony Quinn with the puncture yesterday.
We've got a 3-minute deficit. It cost us 4 minutes 16 in the stage. We caught 1 minute on the other stages up yesterday. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to push very, very hard today and tomorrow.
11 special stages today mark the last full day of racing on the other side of the Ruahine Range in and around Dunedin. Everything's on track for the run down to Wellington today except the train. The crossing is in the middle of special stage 33 and is being marshalled for safety according to the route book. And while we're at it, according to the railways, there's only 1 train a week. Thank goodness. Hopefully, it's running late. Now that's a sweet-sounding escort, but in the hands of sprint car champion Clark Proctor, you'd have to be suspicious of just how standard this escort is.
Yeah, well, it's got a 330 horsepower turbocharged Nissan engine with a 5-speed Toyota gearbox and a Falcon limited slip rear end. Power to weight ratio is quite good as it weighs less than a tonne, and it has nearly 400 foot-pounds of torque at 4,000 revs, so it's a bit of a stump puller. It only looks like an old Escort, but most people don't give it a second look until they see the times.
But it hasn't been all plain sailing.
We had a problem with our rear axle assembly and took us 4 stages to rectify it, unfortunately, so we got a few time penalties and fell back from the lead, but trying to claw it back today, and I think we're chipping away at the lead, and hopefully we can get a good class position.
Sweeper left, sweeper right, sweeper right.
Team Talk do more than just sponsor Steve Millen's Falcon XR6. This is the organisation that transmits all the data back from the results officials to be collated in Auckland and posted on the website.
50 for a green.
Their telephone radio network also provides vital communication for officials between start and finish lines at each of the special stages. Without them, there might be Dunlop, but there would be no Targa.
7-0 has entered the stage at 12:45, over.
There's all kinds of obstacles on Targa roads that must be cleared or drivers warned of before racing begins.
5.5k, cow shit on road, very slippery, okay?
There's also some, like the Genuine Vehicle Imports speed restriction zone, designed to keep the speed below the internationally approved 132 km/h average.
Good boy. Yep, well down. 60k. Keep it going.
Whether it works is a matter of opinion. but it is yet another discipline teams must deal with in the course of racing. However you look at it, it's a pause from the frenetic pace these cars travel at over the course of the week. Every man and his dog is out to see the rally in this neck of the woods, but then this is Gladstone and it's Scarecrow Week. It was party time long before the Targa got here. Now these guys really know how to raise money. None of this drop a donation in the bucket. This is departure tax. Pay up or stick around for the Scarecrow Festival. The Rumataka Range is the only thing standing between Dunlop Targa and a good night's sleep. Team legends Chris Amon and Murray Walker, with 140 years between them, cruised the Camry Sportivo into Wellington in readiness for the final day.
Updates on any mistakes that have been made?
It's the end of a long week, so how are Charles and Mary faring?
We had a little dispute about how to get from the halfway stage, the hospitality tent, to Dannevirke yesterday, yes, because that wasn't clear.
Yeah.
However, after standing watching on the hospitality tent the day before in the pouring rain for more than an hour, the sunshine is lovely today.
Yes, from memory, just looking at the rally, virtually every stage someone's gone off, and I was just thinking, I've done it 5 times, and I think it's the most number of cars I've seen off in stages, and it's just the wet weather, and it's just totally unforgiving. There's just one corner and it catches you, and that's it.
First and last stages on the final day are around Shelley Bay in Wellington, only in reverse direction. Last year the warning was out, take care or take on water, seawater. This morning is the opposite direction and the warning goes unheeded. Wally and Jansen Simpson are okay and go on to take the Sibling Award for Dunlop Targa 2003. Kiwi motorcycle ace Tony Rees thought he'd got through the whole week without a hitch. And he nearly did. Sorry about that, Tony. Special Stage 44 has a tricky little bend just after the start with a severe warning on the route book, but cold tyres mean it still catches a few unaware. Greg Halligan's Porsche 911 CS not the first in the ditch today, and not the last, but the locals know this corner and are always happy to lend a helping hand. With Paikakariki Hill damaged in recent landslides, organisers made a quick adjustment to the special stages. Moonshine Road will be repeated, and that means plenty of cars all over the place and plenty of passing. Despite a week to carefully seed drivers in order of speed and space them evenly, some have found extra horsepower necessary to close the gap in the dying stages. Anton Tallett is no exception, disposing of his competition with ease, even on the tight, twisting Wellington hills. Even the very quick Will Salas, who's just happy to be racing in Wellington after his prologue adventure, has RX-7 on his tail.
Yeah, awesome stage. Caught the GT3 and 5 kilometres before the first intersection, and just nowhere to pass, so we sat behind him for the following 5Ks, so not good for me for time. And he's pretty close to the leading car, so I think it's held me up a bit on time.
The pressure is beginning to tell on everyone, even our race leader. At this stage, every instruction is critical, and a mistake now will spell certain disaster.
Just at the junction, there's a junction there, and the tulip says to bear right, and the thing goes like that, but you're supposed to go straight ahead. Yeah, so anyway, it's just a minor fault. It was the same for everybody, so there you go.
And third place Joe McAndrew with Sue McNeil share the same moment.
5 right, junction 100. It's about a 2 right.
getting a bit worn, but I don't know, we're having a great time, mate. It's just really good fun, and just gives me driving mileage for the overseas rally I've got to last 30 days, so this is just good prep, good prep.
There's only 6 tyres allowed in Targa, which puts the pressure on preserving the rubber. But the general chit-chat has been just how good these new Dunlops are.
Yes, the new Dereza DZ02G's just come in this year, and it was a bit of an unknown for us. We'd had a few tarmac rallies with it, but really, really pleased with how well it's gone because, as you know, the weather was pretty wet the first few days, and the guys have been raving about the grip with the tyre in the wet and the dry, so we're very happy about that. Oh, I'm sure the fact that the V8 contract in Australia and in New Zealand is with Dunlop, that itself generates a lot of business for the development people, and it just makes a very buoyant and vibrant organisation that's going to be keen to keep on top.
Dunlop's home, South Pacific Tyres, is in Upper Hutt, and it's host to the final lunch stop on Targa, with a short stage around Shelley Bay to wrap up a memorable week. After all, memories are an important part of life, and you can never stop accumulating them. Just listen to the experts.
Because it's been an absolutely fantastic experience for me. I'd never been to New Zealand before for any length of time. And the scenery everywhere I've been has been superb. The roads have been marvellous. And as far as the Targa itself is concerned, it's been an education. People have been so nice, so friendly and so helpful. The organisation has been superlatively good. All the stages have been wonderful. I mean, Chris Amon was doing the driving and did it supremely well, and I was actually able to find the time, A, to look out of the window and look at the scenery and enjoy it, and B, most importantly, to watch a master craftsman at work. I can't compliment the people at Mike John and his crew, all the officials and things, the work that must go into organising this event, and the wonderful cooperation from all the public who put up with their roads being closed, and coming from a sort of a farming background, and the inconvenience that they must suffer, and yet they put up with it. I think the whole event is stupendous is probably a good word.
It's been fabulous. I tell you, the other night at Palmerston North, I was sitting having dinner and just saying, you know, this is such a great event. I never want to miss doing this event. You know, we're so lucky to be able to do this, and the camaraderie and the roads and all that. But what really gets me is the speed the guys are doing. Like, you know, we go really, really quick through these country roads. To get out and you find that everybody else is doing it really quick times as well. So it's just so impressive. It's just great to be here.
For the expat Kiwi residing in the US for the last couple of decades, the trip down under for Targa this year has reaped a 2nd in class and 8th overall. The XR6 Turbo keeping him well in touch with the competition and inside his expectations for the car. The finale is the reverse of the first stage this morning, and everyone seems to have it together. This might be the first special stage this week with no mishaps, but that doesn't stop them still going for it. Grant River's Black 65 Mustang holds on for a solid class win after the fire goes out in Craig Fraser's Ford Anglia. Mark Parsons, this year sharing the driving with Mel Clark, fights off some serious competition in Ashton Wood and Nelson Marshall. The TR7 V8 just too strong in the end. Will Sellis finishes the week in a much better state than he started, taking contemporary production class honours ahead of Steve Millen in a family sedan. Joe McAndrew turns it on for his hometown to take out modern category and 3rd outright in his Mazda RX-7 GT. Ahead of Mike Delmont to the BMW 2002 Turbo, a credible 4th outright for a car of this vintage amongst them stiff competition. But the ding-dong battle that has seesawed all week between defending 2-times champion Anton Tallett and Australian Tony Quinn goes to the wire. Tallett has steadily pegged back the 4-minute buffer over the last 2 days, but still is 53 seconds shy when the checkered flag drops in the last stage. So Dunlop Targa New Zealand will go abroad for only the 2nd time in 9 years. Quinn salvaging some pride for Australia after New Zealand's win at Bathurst. the casual nature of the multinational Australia team crossing the finish line belies the real truth.
These roads are scary. They are daunting. They are terrible, some of them, but they're very challenging, very challenging. This means a lot to us because we've been together for probably 3 or 4 years, and it's our second win this year, and we'd really like to score the Tasmanian one, but there's a big hurdle there called Jim Richards, so hopefully Jim will come over to this one next year.
So the show's over for another year, and there's just enough time to collect the finishing medallion. Like the 8 events before it, there will be a few medallions left over. Only 154 of the 200-strong field have made it to the nation's capital. But then that's what Targa is all about. If it was easy, everyone would be in it. Finishing this event is a remarkable feat in itself.
I've noticed the enthusiasm as we've moved around the country, and that's great to see. And I guess one of the nicest feelings that comes out of the whole thing for me is that motorsport is very much alive and well in New Zealand.
And now, of course, you'll shake your hands. Thank you.